Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. May Allah's peace and blessings be upon the soul of the Holy Prophet and his purified progeny. Dear brothers and sisters all around the world, Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Quran and Today's Life and the program that we are with you inshallah in these some 30 minutes. We'll be discussing some points, training points of course, from the viewpoint of Quran, the Holy Book of Allah. In this discussion, inshallah, we'll be benefited from the presence of Hujjat al-Islam Muhammadi, Islamic scholar and student from prestigious Hawza Ilmi of Qom. Before starting our discussion concerning the subject that I just introduced, I'd like to thank him for his presence in this studio and helping us to be benefited from his information, inshallah. Hujjat al-Islam Muhammadi, assalamu alaikum and welcome to this program. Thanks for accepting our invitation.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is my honor to be here with you.
Thank you very much. Concerning the subject that I just introduced, that is Quran-based teachings and trainings, I wanted to see, tell us first, before starting our discussion, I'd like to know about the importance and excellence of this discussion. What is the importance of this discussion, and is it just for Muslims to extract training points from the Holy Book of Allah, or no? Every, let's say, thinker, everyone who likes some training points can catch it from the Holy Quran?
This is a very important question, because there are some people who think that the training issues or training pointers are just for Muslims or just for monotheistic view, and it does not have anything to do with other people. Mm-hmm. That this is not the case. We do believe, as Muslims, we do believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so many information in the Holy Quran, and there are so many traditions with regard to the training issues, or an-niqat al-tarbawiyya in Arabic, as they call it. But it does not mean that it is excluded to or it's exclusive to Muslims or the ones who have monotheistic view. Why is that? I want to elaborate on this a little bit more, because it is. I think it's so clear, because we human beings are in common in being human being. Okay,
yes.
So as a human being, we all share some desires. And all of us want to fulfill and satisfy these desires. But as it's obvious, it cannot be realized. I cannot, for example, realize I cannot satisfy my desires most of the times without interfering your desires or somebody else's desires. And this, in so many cases, there are some tensions or conflicts between people's desires. So there should be, or there must be, some principles, some ethical issues, some training pointers, mm-hmm. so that we go through them and we agree, all human beings agree upon those training issues, and they make peace among themselves. So training issues or an-niqat al-tarbawiyya is not just for Muslims to discuss or to mm-hmm. go over. So it is a general issue to talk about.
Yeah. Well, what is the purpose of taking these training points first, and after that, can everyone from his own understanding catch this information from the Holy Quran?
It is possible. It is possible. There must be some experiences before that. There must be some. The person who goes over these issues must be expert in Quran, the Holy Quran, and knows the atmosphere of the Holy Quran first. But it is possible for all people. It is not exclusive to Muslims to go over. And we observe so many people, mm-hmm. even non-Muslims, who go to the Holy Quran and try to catch some of these training issues.
So why do we introduce, in fact, the Holy Book of Allah, that is Al-Quran, for this purpose? Why should this source be a divine one? Why not, humanistic sciences as they are current in some nations at the moment? Why these, modern knowledges and sciences not be, the source of this training point, in fact?
Actually, I'm not agree with you with this point that we do not go to human sciences. We do go to human sciences for this sake, but when we go, for example, going to the Holy Quran or going to religious sources, it means that we put the religious sources in center, even though they may go to, for example, other sources, humanistic sciences, for this sake as well. But what is the reason? The reason is after we prove that there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or there is a God who created us, okay, and we are His creature. So I think it is quite rational to go and to refer to the one who created us, because He knows us better than the others, better than human beings. So humanistic sciences are the knowledge of humans, okay?
Some people like us.
Yes, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, and He knows us better than
He knows the needs of His creation.
Yes, this is the case. So just imagine, for example, a person who, for example, produces a machine, and he put in the box a sort of catalog, all right? And in this catalog or in this manual, you are told that how to, for example, work with this thing or with this machine. Why is so? Because the one who produces this machine, he knows this machine better than me, all right? So I have to go to this person, or I have to refer to this person's knowledge to know about this machine. This is the case in training issues. So since Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator, so we have to refer to Him and ask Him what to do in this regard.
So the creator, in fact, understands the needs of his creatures better than everyone else, rather than the creator of a car knows the needs of its creature. And now let's ask the importance of humanistic sciences. How can we, in fact, use these sciences besides the Holy Quran? Can they do any help, in fact, at all, or not?
It is possible, and we do that. For example, in so many academies or in some colleges, they teach humanistic knowledges.
And can their solution be, in fact, influensive in our...
Yes, it is possible. But the most important point is that we have to put the Holy Quran in center, and we have to compare, all right? Compare these humanistic sciences with the Holy Quran and with the knowledge that Holy Quran gives us. If they correspond to each other, okay, it is permissible. It is okay to go to these sciences and get use of these sciences.
So the priority is with the Book of Allah.
Yes, is the Book of Allah.
Now we want to know the different, let's say, teachings and trainings that we can catch from the Holy Quran. Look, human beings have different needs, different interactions in their everyday life. How can one catch, some needed information from the Holy Quran in his daily lives, with different interactions that he has with his society, with his family, with different, let's say, subjects that he may see in everyday life?
When we go to the religious sources, like the Holy Quran, we see that there is a sort of division or a classification in this regard. If we want to be more clear about this point, human being in his interaction in his lifetime can have some interactions with others, or some source of interactions. My understanding is that there are at least 3 general interactions a person can have in his lifetime. First one is the interaction that one can have, for example, with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with His creator, okay? The interaction between the creature and the creator, okay? The second one is the interaction that an individual have with others, others being human beings or even animals, etc. And the third one, the interactions a person can have with himself, with oneself, okay? So these are the interactions that...
So in fact, the trainings that we grasp from the Holy Quran, in fact, takes different, and let's say, all aspects of one's life.
Yes. So we have, inshallah, in these discussions, inshallah, in these sessions, we will talk about the training pointers, okay, or the cultivating and nuqat al-tarbawiyya with regard to these sorts of interactions.
Points that you mentioned.
Yeah. All of them has so many, sub branches, okay, and so many details that I will, inshallah, talk about some of them.
It was man and God, and man and other.
Man and the other, okay,
others, okay.
The others, or the other being, for example, human being, or even animals, because there are, as you know, there are some indications. And
other beings.
Yes, other beings. So.
And the third one?
And the third one is the interaction
with his own self.
With his own self, with oneself. So. We want to talk about this. I'm not saying that all of these interactions are taught or talked about in the Holy Quran directly and in detail.
In fact, there are some exegesis that we catch from the Holy Quran.
But one way or another, okay, or sometimes indirectly. For example, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala tells us a story in the Holy Quran. For example, the beautiful story of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. And in this story and within this story, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala talks about so many traits of human beings, so many ethical issues and training pointers. So these interactions that a human being can have in his life, these are the basis for our discussion, inshallah, in the coming sessions.
Inshallah. As the first interaction that you just defined, what points can be grasped from the Holy Quran in one's interaction with his Allah, with his Lord?
Yeah. This is if I want to be clear in this point, there are the subject of the practical irfan, the practical mysticism, is this one. The interaction and the principles and the rules, the rules of one's interaction with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala is the subject of irfan amali. Okay, so this is
practical mysticism.
Practical mysticism, yeah. So, for example, having khushu, humility toward Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, before Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Or, for example, or in general, having...
So these are the subjects. The ways, methods to, in fact, and what are the teachings that we grasp from the Holy Quran? This is the answer that we are looking for.
Yeah.
And sorry for interruption. If you don't mind, we can have the answer of this question of yours after a very short break. Dear viewers, please stay with us. Inshallah, we'll be back after a short break. Welcome back to Quran and Today's Life. We have been discussing in fact, some training points from the viewpoint of the Holy Quran, the Book of Allah. Hujjatul Islam Muhammadi, Islamic scholar and the respected expert of this program, helped us with his definition of different interaction that someone may have with his, in fact, environment and the kind of, let's say, training points that we can grasp from the Quran in our everyday interactions in our daily lives. He defined three sorts of interactions: interaction of human beings with their God or creator, and also interaction of one with his society, and the third one, interaction of one with his own self. He was elaborating on the first kind of interaction that he just defined. We want Hujjatul Islam Muhammadi to help us more in the practical method that we can grasp from the Holy Quran in the first interaction that you just classified.
As I said, the Holy Quran is full with so many pointers and so many signs of the first part that I've talked about. And for example, the principles that a person should observe in confronting his Lord or one's Lord, or having humility toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sensing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in one's life, in that we sense that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we feel the presence of Allah in our daily life. This is another pointer that must be discussed and must be mentioned in this regard. And for example, sincerity in our worship, acts of worship, or even in other parts of life, we have to have this sincerity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so many other pointers in this regard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the second interaction that you, in fact, introduced was interaction of one with the society.
Yeah.
So what does it mean? What do you mean? Who are, let's say, the subjects of this interaction, and also what kind of teachings we can grasp?
Yeah. There's this one, the second part, or the second division, is the widest one in this regard. And for example, when we start our life, the first interaction we have in our life is with our family, our father or mother. So the disciplines of this interaction should be discussed. How should we behave toward our parents? Okay, so in for example, nuclear families, as they say, our father and mother, or maybe one sibling, and in extended families with the grandparents, etc. This is the family we are born into, and the second one, the family we establish. Okay, so with our interaction with our wife or our husband, or in the interaction with the families of a spouse, and something like that. And then it comes to the friends. We are social animals, as they say. So how to make friends? What are the characteristics of a good friend? Okay, and in this matter, for example, what are the limitations of a relationship or having a relationship with the opposite sex? That is a very crucial and very problematic issue nowadays. So this one is the
subjects of this one are very wide.
Yeah.
And the third one, one with his own self, what does it mean, and what are the kind of teachings that we can take from the Holy Quran?
Yeah, about this, or the third part, or this third division, we have to say that, for example, there are so many disciplines and so many points that should be observed in one's interactions with oneself. For example, it is so important for a person that have or to reserve his azzah, his honor, his glory. This is an interaction a person has with himself. Okay, having, for example, job or working. Okay, this is a sort of interaction that a person has with himself and has to observe. We have to talk about its details about the, for example, disciplines around this subject. And another point that I can make, for example, the interaction that a person has with himself, and have to keep his honor. Okay.
Do these, different interactions that you said, you mentioned just concerning one with his own self, differ in one is alone and one is in the society also, or one is with others. Because while he is with others, in fact, he has to pay attention to what he is, in fact, what his own self is. I don't know, did you get me or not? While even one is in society, he should be careful of his own, let's say, behavior, his own self-behavior. Okay. Does it, in fact, include this part as well, or no?
Actually, I regard this one in the second part, in the second, actually.
Because this kind of, participation that I'm in fact, the person is in society, but he's caring for his own behavior. He's caring not for his behavior with others.
Okay. If it's like that, for example, having this behavior or this manner or training oneself,
his own self, even while he is in the society.
Yeah, being in whether being in a society or not being in a society. So this one could be divided into two parts. One of them. One of these go to the second point, or second part, and the other one, which is caring or somebody or soul training of somebody who wants to build his, for example, soul with regard to himself and not with regard to the society. Okay, because as I said, there are some points that we have, or some characteristic that we have to have. Not because of our being a social animal or social being, okay? So there are some characteristics that can be categorized in the third one.
Exactly. So why should we choose Quran as the source of this, in fact, information? What is the priority of Quran over other sources, divine sources that we have? For example, we have the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. We have the traditions from the 14 infallibles as the followers of the school of Ahlul Bayt. So we have different sources. Why Quran? And can one, this second part of my question is also, I wanted to regard it in your answer, please. Can we, in fact, directly or indirectly catch this information? For example, should I refer to, exegesis or interpretations of the Holy Quran or no? I can directly take it from the Holy Quran. As you have already mentioned some answer to this, but I wanted you to clarify it very exactly. Thank you.
I think first of all, it is so important that the Holy Quran has some characteristics and traits that are unique, and it is just for the Holy Quran. First one is that it has not been altered and it will not be altered and changed. Okay, we Muslims. There is a consensus between all Muslims that the Holy Quran, there was not any sort of tahrif or distortion or any alteration. So this is a very unique characteristic of the Holy Quran. This is not the case in Bible. Even the Christians themselves, at least about the New Testament, they do not say that it is the word of Allah. Okay, they say it's just, for example, the apostles, they gathered together and wrote.
And this is the promise of Allah.
So this characteristics gives us this opportunity to be confident when we refer to the Holy Quran. This is the first characteristic. The second one, the authenticity of the Holy Quran is already proved, okay? Because there is no disagreement on this point that the Holy Quran is, all of it is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not the case in the traditions. With the authenticity of traditions.
Yeah, for traditions we should search whether it is authentic.
Certify that if it is, for example, authentic hadith or not. So, having this characteristic, Quran is, I think, the best reference. Yet, we do not say we do not refer to the traditions. No, it is not the case. We go, inshallah, to some traditions and get use of those and get benefit from those traditions. Yet, the center of our discussion and inshallah, the concentration of this discussion will be on the Holy Quran. And I want to, if you don't mind, I want to read you some of the verses and maybe some tradition about this point. The Holy Quran says about itself, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس قد جاءتكم موعظة من ربكم وشفاء لما في الصدور وهدى ورحمة للمؤمنين. Surah Yunus, ayah 57. O mankind, there has certainly come to you an advice from your Lord and cure for what is in the breasts and a guidance and mercy for the faithful. This is how Quran describes itself. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, إِذَا الْتَبَسَّتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْفِتَنِ كَاللَّيْلِ الْمُظْلَمِ فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِالْقُرْآنِ. Whenever you are, for example, you wonder which way is the best way, or which way is the right way, we have to this is very, for example, very difficult to choose which way to go, and as if you are lost in a very dark, for example, night, then you should refer to Quran. So these sorts of unique characteristics makes us to go
exactly.
to
This is the word that Quran itself signifies that it can be, in fact, the, let's say, the lighting way to give us this sort of trainings. Once again, I thank you for your presence in this program. We have been benefited from this, in fact, discussion that was, in fact, concerning the trainings that we can grasp from the Holy Quran. Inshallah, we shall continue our discussion in our next session with some other points, and let's say, specifically training points that we can grasp from the Holy Quran. As the title of the program says, Quran and Today's Life, we hope that Allah Almighty help us in understanding and catching some more information from the Holy Book of Himself. Inshallah, follow us in our next programs, next sessions. Till then, I myself, on behalf of my friends in the studio, say goodbye and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.